Bradley Chubb was the name that kept coming up that everyone believed was going to be traded. It was really a matter of hammering out the rest of the compensation in the first round, but it's more capital for the Broncos here as they move forward, and moving on from a guy who, if he had stayed in Denver, was going to get a massive deal that is expected to be upwards of $20 million per year.
It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. One of the biggest trade targets has finally been traded for, as the Denver Broncos have announced a huge trade, trading a player that they drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft a couple years ago. So before we get to the content, we've been covering the NFL trade deadline all day long. We're giving away $100 at the end of each and every week to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. Now that we got all that out of the way, work! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Man, it's kind of fulfilling to see that I was able to hit on 3 of my picks on NFL players that are about to be traded. 4 if I included Kadarius Toney. I don't think I did, but regardless, earlier on today we found out that Chase Claypool got traded, William Jackson got traded, TJ Hawkinson got traded, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the Denver Broncos made a huge move. And the reason for it is very, very obvious. So obviously in the past offseason, the Broncos made a huge splash at the quarterback position. After years and years and years looking for their true franchise cornerstone QB, they decided to trade Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick in the next 2 NFL drafts, in addition to a 2022 fifth-round pick for Russell Wilson. So far, that hasn't necessarily gone according to plan. And the problem with making such a trade is now you are completely devoid of assets, which is why Bradley Chubb is such an interesting situation. A man that was a former top 10 NFL draft pick who is set to get a huge payday this upcoming offseason. However, the Denver Broncos were a little unsure about whether or not they were going to extend Bradley Chubb and whether they felt comfortable handing him that type of money. Regardless, Bradley Chubb is a gigantic difference maker on the defensive end, and if he could stay healthy, he could bolster a pass rush significantly, especially considering the fact that he is in the midst of one of his best seasons. Currently, this season, Bradley Chubb has 5.5 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, and 26 combined tackles. The only question surrounding Bradley Chubb is his ability to stay healthy. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins are in a completely different situation. You see, they are employing a strategy that I think I've mentioned several times throughout this trade deadline, particularly when I was covering Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears, and that's the fact that they have Tua Tagovailoa, did I say his name right? Please tell me I said his name right, on a rookie scale contract. He's been written off so many times that his own team lost their first round pick from this offseason as a result of tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady. He hasn't necessarily had a chance up until this season. Prior to this, they were trying to trade for Deshaun Watson, and ultimately last year during the trade deadline, they decided against it. So the Dolphins ultimately looked at Tua and said, you know what, we're going to build around this guy. He has a rookie scale contract. Let's get him Tyreek Hill. Let's get him Teron Armstead. Let's get him Mike McDaniel. Let's get him Cedric Wilson. Let's go all in on building a contender around Tua because we don't have to pay Tua that much money, and let's see if this guy's truly our franchise QB. And so far, judging based on the results, when Tua is on the field, the Miami Dolphins are a significantly better team. That's how it's been for his entire career. The problem with the Dolphins isn't necessarily offensive anymore, rather it's defensive. They have the opposite problem as the Denver Broncos do, and ultimately they've been very shrewd with their asset management. If you remember, during the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins made a huge trade with the San Francisco 49ers, so the San Francisco 49ers could move up several spots to select Trey Lance with the number 3 overall pick. So far with those picks, the Miami Dolphins were able to add Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and now they finally cashed in their last first round pick. On who, you might ask? On none other than Bradley Chubb. Because according to Adam Schefter, we have another huge trade. Denver is dealing linebacker Bradley Chubb to the Miami Dolphins for a package that includes the 2023 first round pick that Miami acquired from San Francisco, sources tell ESPN. makes it all the more impressive. So the entire haul is Denver is going to get a first-round pick, running back Chase Edmonds, and a fourth-round pick, while Miami gets Bradley Chubb and a 2025 fifth-round pick. This is significant because obviously the Denver Broncos are just trying to recoup some assets from the Russell Wilson trade because clearly they could use some help. Now, the Miami Dolphins fully expect to extend Bradley Chubb. As a matter of fact, Ian Rappaport even states in his tweet that Chubb gets to cash in financially now as well. This is significant because now Bradley Chubb, who is 26 years old, is going to get paired with budding edge player Jalen Phillips, who is 23 years old, which really helps the Miami Dolphins, man, because the Miami Dolphins only have 15 sacks this season. Now, in case you're wondering what the Dolphins pick situation is, originally, the Dolphins had 2 first-round picks, but they now have none because they gave up the first-round pick that they got from the San Francisco 49ers in the Trey Lance trade for Bradley Chubb, and they lost one for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. But to summarize, and Albert Breer does a wonderful job summarizing this, and this is absolutely phenomenal, the 2021 first-round pick that they had was packaged to trade up for Jalen Waddle. The 2022 pick was sent to the Chiefs for Tyreek Hill, and this year's draft pick was sent to the Broncos for Bradley Chubb. I love what the Miami Dolphins are doing, man. This is a great way to go all in. This is the best way to go all in. You have a quarterback on a rookie scale contract. You want to take advantage of it. You clearly have a remarkable offense, and clearly things are clicking offensively. But once you get into the NFL playoffs, man, it's really important that you can generate pressure on players like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes should you go off to face them. And if you aren't able to do that, then chances are you aren't going to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills. But in addition to this, you might be wondering, okay, Mike, well, the Miami Dolphins lost Chase Edmonds. Aren't they fairly thin at running back? Well, this isn't the only deal that the Miami Dolphins elected to swing, because according to Adam Schefter, the San Francisco 49ers are also trading running back Jeff Wilson to the Miami Dolphins. So Jeff Wilson, who was the top running back in the San Francisco 49ers running back room, I mean, I guess it was between him and Eli Mitchell, still a very dependable running back in that room, gets reunited with his offensive coordinator from last year. All the Miami Dolphins had to do in order to acquire Jeff Wilson was send the San Francisco 49ers a 5th-round pick, according to Tom Pelissaro. So this has significant fantasy football implications, man. If you're a Jeff Wilson Jr. owner, then it seems like he became significantly more relevant fantasy football-wise once again. But needless to say, man, this is a great trade for all parties involved. The Denver Broncos are able to get a first-round pick, and they don't have to pay Bradley Chubb. The Miami Dolphins get additional pass rushing help and potentially have a franchise cornerstone at the edge rusher position once they extend Bradley Chubb. So at the end of the day, I have to give both sides an A. I mean, I guess the Dolphins are more of an in progress, because if this ends up flopping in their face, which with all due respect, I could imagine this not working out, then obviously I'm not going to give them as high of a grade. But in the case of the Denver Broncos, for a team that has been taking as many L's as they have been taking this past year, you have to understand the significance of this. There was a chance that they were going to lose Bradley Chubb altogether, like not even franchise tag him, not even sign him to an extension, none of that. And instead, they get a first-round pick in return for him and more. The fact that they were able to swing such a deal is very, very significant, and they don't have to pay him. I say this is an A-plus trade for the Broncos. For the Miami Dolphins, at least on paper, it makes a lot of sense why they would go all in on this trade, so I have to give them an A as well. But obviously, if this ends up not panning out, then we're going to have to say that this was a failure on their part. Regardless, I love how aggressive the Miami Dolphins are being, and even more importantly, we got more breaking news. Calvin Ridley just got traded, so I'm going to get to work on that. I know I'm very behind on trade news. Myself and my team are going crazy trying to get you guys full-length analysis as soon as I can. So make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications so you can support the channel. And aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.